and welcome to episode 2 of Are You Enjoying This? The podcast that features me, Sophie.
And me, Emily. Sisters who enjoy bad cinema.
We do enjoy bad cinema. That is primarily why we're here.
I watched Twilight, which was an experience. I will say, following the horror that was Emilia Perez, I thought, can we go any lower? And today we will discuss whether or not we did indeed go any lower.
This is, unfortunately for you guys, not my first time watching Twilight. It's not my 10th time watching Twilight. I'm a low-key Twilight girly, but in an ironic way, which makes it okay. I have a deep trauma bond with this film, in that I watched it when I was 15, read the books, it traumatized me, and now we're bonded. So we're going to talk about this. I'm sure there's going to be an argument at some point where Emily doesn't appreciate something that she full well should appreciate.
If it comes to blows, we'll put a warning up now.
Yes, we both have nails, blood will be drawn.
We are going to be discussing my first time experience with Twilight, and it was a pretty crazy time. And I also wanted to say that if you are listening to this podcast, welcome. We are available wherever you might find all good podcasts. And please subscribe. And if you are watching it on YouTube, hooray, you can see our faces.
And you can see our live reactions.
Yes, we have posted our live reaction to watching this film for the first time on YouTube. So you can see it there if you're interested. But obviously, we will be appearing everywhere.
And if you want a full-length watch-along, let us know, because we do have it and we can post it somewhere. But we might have to put that behind a paywall because, you know, capitalism is thriving right now.
Yes, and the copyright people may come for our necks. So if you are also somebody who has never watched Twilight before, fear not.
Want to,
we will begin at the beginning and we will end at the end.
I recently came second in a Twilight quiz, so I know what I'm talking about.
You did?
I did.
Wow, nice.
I know, it's really cringe.
What mistake did you make?
Oh, I can't remember. It was something really irrelevant. 17-year-old Bella Swan leaves Phoenix, Arizona, and moves to Forks, a small town located on Washington State's Olympic Peninsula, to live with her father, Charlie, the town's police chief. Her mother, Renee, is remarried to Phil, a minor league baseball player. Bella becomes reacquainted with Jacob Black, a Native American teen who lives with his father, Billy, on the, I can never say this word, Quileute Indian reservation near Forks. At school, she finds the mysterious and aloof Cullen siblings particularly intriguing. She is seated next to Edward Cullen in a biology class, but he seems repulsed by her. And that is where we'll stop for now.
Yeah.
That is a good like first 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah. I really feel like it could have benefited from some haste. I think that if you are somebody who has ever read fan fiction before, the tropes are incredibly obvious, as is the complete lack of plot. I respect a romance for its, meet cute and the gradual development of the relationship. But I will say I felt like this film, almost nothing happened. And at the same time, I guess on paper a lot did happen. I didn't know, going into this, that Bella even had a mother. I had no idea, let alone that she's the reason she's in Forks. The whole aspect of that, like Bella being a teen from Arizona, blew my mind. It's just, that's not what they look like, I can tell you that.
No, she's honestly award-winningly pale.
Yeah.
And it is addressed in the film. They're like, why are you so pale? Okay, she stays out the sun. We can give her that. But it doesn't, none of it rings true.
No.
Like, from a purely, like, artistic and, like, educational standpoint, none of it feels like it's real.
No. It was extremely funny as well that when she gets out of the car, having driven to Forks for the first time, or maybe gotten off the aeroplane, I can't remember, she's carrying a cactus.
Oh, the first shot, she's going, oh, I'm going to really miss Arizona, and I'm going to use the mic for this. And she's holding this tiny, tiny potted cactus. And she's got a little spade in her hand, like she's just dug it up from her garden. And then, once they've done the very real life, they actually filmed it, airplane shot, and she's touching down in the Pacific Northwest for the first time, she's holding the cactus again. It's like, has she at all put the cactus down?
No, it's her comfort cactus. She flew with it.
She's got an emotional support cactus. That's how you know she's from Arizona.
The way that she bought her cactus by hand all the way from Arizona. Yeah, and when later, like, this is jumping very far ahead, but when later she returns to Arizona, the first shot is also of a cactus. So they really said the visual language...
Mountains.
Cactus. Yeah, the visual language of Arizona is cactus. And I will say, I was genuinely so surprised by how little of this film I knew or recognized. I truly did not know what was going on most of the time. And like even some of the more iconic parts seemingly came out of like nowhere. But essentially she sort of wafts into Forks, and yet she meets Jacob, who feels like he's going to be a big deal in the plot at the beginning. And again, at the end of the film, I was like, oh, I forgot he was in this.
Oh,
he
just
had
you wait.
nothing to do with this first film whatsoever.
Just you wait.
Like,
that's the film he's the least in.
Yeah.
Which is why it's my favourite.
Oh, no. Now, I will also say that I know he was very heavily sexualized. And I personally think that of the cast, he by far looks the youngest.
Yeah.
I don't know if he is the youngest.
He was, yeah.
But he looks it. That
Why
man
do I know that?
looks, I mean, he looks like a child. He looks like a 17-year-old tops.
I think he was 16 when he filmed it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like...
He was young. Yeah.
And I'm like, who was screaming about that? Every single adult woman who was talking about him needs to be arrested immediately.
Yeah, I don't know how old he was when he filmed the second film, which he is a large part of. The thing is, like, I'm gay anyway, so no one's doing it for me in that film. Like,
What? Bella Swan's right there.
I think Kristen Stewart is a beautiful woman, but she is not my flavour of sapphic.
What?
Facially, she's gorgeous. Like, I'd make out with her, but like...
You'd make out with her, would you?
I like if she begged me. She literally was like, "Please, Sophie, I need it for medicine." I'd be like,
For medicine. That's
right.
so Twilight of you. I'll do it
right.
to save your life.
Exactly.
Wow, you're wrong
But
in the
no,
head.
like that aside, yeah, he looks really young. That is a very.
He
good
looks
point.
really young, and everyone who said anything deserves arrest.
I'd also like to say that we're not really here to debate the sort of morality of making the only native presence in the film werewolves, but
No.
we don't enjoy
It's
it
racist.
or appreciate it. It's racist.
Yeah.
And also Taylor Lautner is white, pretending to be a Native American person.
He's a white guy with a spray tan, pretending to be Native American, who, if you have never seen Twilight, this Native American tribe are werewolves, although that's not actually revealed in this film, is it?
No, it's not revealed in
It's
this
sort of
film.
heavily implied.
And I
they're
think,
wolf
like,
people.
canonically they're not, but everyone's like, but they are.
But don't they become
Yeah,
wolves in
they
later
do become
films?
wolves, yeah.
Well, I look forward to maybe seeing that in the future.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, so Bella comes in, the place is wet, very blue, in Forks, and she meets Jacob, who I thought was going to be a bigger character and wasn't, and Jacob's dad, who is in a wheelchair, and he proceeds to try and run over Bella's dad for the entire scene, which I actually really enjoyed. They're like, how do we get the dads away so that Jacob and Bella could talk?
Yeah, have
And
their
it's like,
moment.
what we're going to do is get Jacob's dad, who's in a wheelchair, to just try and run Charlie over. And I quite like that. I thought that was a very humanizing moment, if a bit bizarre. Just being like, I'm going to get you. And then Charlie's just sort of air punching him, just pretending to beat him up. Very strange, but fine.
I'll say for a film that doesn't have many, like, truly playful moments, it was nice.
It was cute.
But it's right in the beginning, and then you never think about it again. So
I'd like to see more of that. Well,
Yeah.
they later drink beer together, which is just a sign that they're both real men.
Exactly.
Not that much happens, and then she goes to school.
Yeah.
And when she's at school, she meets Anna Kendrick, and she meets
Who,
a
by
guy.
the way, should
yeah.
be given an Oscar for that film alone.
She actually really nailed
She was
it.
very good. She was the only one that was
She
good.
acted it out the park. She was the only one that was
the
good.
only one that was good.
I will say, I really thought, I like Kristen Stewart and I like Robert Pattinson as actors.
Yeah.
And I really thought that they would bring more, but they were both fighting for their lives in those scenes.
I mean...
And I can't blame them.
What were they working with?
The dialogue was horror. Absolute horror. But there were definitely times, and they did have chemistry together, I will admit that.
Yeah.
But there were definitely times where they were saying things and you could just see them being like, I cannot believe
Robert
believe this is
Pattinson,
what I'm saying.
Behind the eyes is just hatred.
Just crying.
Yeah.
And like, I liked Kristen Stewart's performance as Bella because it's ridiculous, but I did feel like there were definitely times where you could just see that she was just like, I don't know, like ketchup.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so she goes to school. She meets Fringe Man. Poor Fringe Man. He was a delight.
He has a name, and his name is Eric.
Yeah, Eric has the most authentic emo hair I've ever seen.
He would have been cleaning up
the way she turns him down. I'm like, you are not from the right era, babe.
The emo swoop was so pronounced.
It was on point.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And I felt honoured to witness that haircut again after such a long time without it.
It was like seeing an old friend.
It was. So that was nice. And then sort of in wander the Cullens. And it's the strangest beginning because obviously I don't know how much you know about the Cullens, but there's sort of mum and dad Cullen, kind of, and then the vampire children who are not related but are all dating each other. And it is icky. I don't love that. Why do they all have to go to the same school? There are so many questions that I'm not going to get into because I understand that this is essentially badly written fan fiction, and the reason that a lot of things don't make sense is that Stephanie Myers wrote it that way and you just have to go with it.
Yeah.
Like, they all look old enough that they could pass as not school-age children.
They could all pass as teachers.
Yes. So why do they need to be incest high together? It's very disturbing.
I will say, logistically, one of my biggest gripes about the film, and I don't have many, I'm joking, I have so many, is that the age of the people that they've cast varies so dramatically that in one of the scenes of like a school trip, you see somebody at the front of the shot that is very clearly like
actually
maybe
15 or 16, yeah.
And then behind Bella and Edward, you've got an actress who I'm going to say is like 24 and a model. And you're just like, but the contrast of those two people in the same shot, it looks like they are parents and these are children.
Yes.
Like, it makes no sense.
Yes.
The casting decisions, I will say, at the same time of being genius, the background cast is like,
it's insane,
just chaotic.
Yeah. Like Sophie was pointing out to me that there's a girl with a lower back tattoo on the school trip, and I was like, damn. But then, in great excitement after meeting all the Cullens and seeing what's his face with his bag of eggs,
I will say,
yes,
when it comes to the bag of eggs, people say that's not naturalistic. Nobody would just take a bag of eggs to school for lunch. Well, we have a very interesting story to tell you. It's a brief one, don't worry. Many years ago, I arranged a beach trip for my birthday with some of my friends. And one of my friends, so I arranged us a coach to take us all down because nobody could be bothered to drive. One of my friends, for their beach picnic lunch, packed themselves a plastic bag full of boiled eggs.
And a pack of salt.
And a little sachet of salt
to eat.
To just sprinkle on her eggs.
In her bag of eggs. Like,
she's a very health conscious lady. But we were like, so now whenever we see her, we're always like, hey, beach eggs.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, an egg is going to attract any grain of sand that it can. Like, it's a very wet food. It was pretty diabolical to watch someone eating a hot bag. Can you imagine a bag of eggs post-coach trip to the coast on a day hot enough in England to warrant going to the beach? Like, can you imagine what was going on? The swamp that was being created in that bag of eggs is criminal.
Perfumed.
Yeah, disgusting. Anyway, so people do carry bags of eggs.
And its bag of eggs absolutely stands up.
Yeah.
Even though the whole point of the bag of eggs is that he is a vampire pretending to be a human and he's not doing that well.
Well, what does that tell us about our friend?
She's a vampire!
And that's canonically untrue because they say later in the film, we've never used the kitchen before. Well, who's boiling the eggs then?
Maybe they're not boiled. I mean, it's quite dangerous to take raw eggs.
just a
carrier bag.
In shell. That's not good. Okay, well, let's hope that's not the case.
Right.
Then things actually start happening in that Edward walks in and they say, don't bother talking to him. He doesn't like anybody. And then they go to
the
biology class together. Mm-hmm. And the biology classroom is absolutely chocked full of dead birds. Just stuffed bird display all over the place. Maybe other people had that in their schools and I was just left out. But it did feel
Yeah.
weird to me.
There was a lot of dead animals.
The taxidermy was high in that room.
Yeah. I don't remember having any taxidermy at school.
Oh, no, there was.
Oh, no. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
There was a dead mole in a jar.
Yeah. No, I had a crazy biology teacher. She's probably dead now. She was so old, so she doesn't need to know that I'm talking shit about her. But she did have a selection of taxidermied animals in her back cupboard, including a mole that her and her husband killed together on a holiday, brought home and pickled.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, Bella walks in and Edward is like grabbing his face. And this is the thing is, one of the things I found most frustrating about this film is I at no point had any idea what anyone was feeling. They were both acting like complete robots, and I did not know what are you feeling? Was he disgusted by her? Like, it was never really clarified, even though they were talking about it like later on. He talks about how he can't read her mind, but he can read everyone else's. But then what's that got to do with the way that she smells or how gross it is or not? Like, I
have something to say to this. It creates a draw to her for him because he can read everyone's mind, so no one is mysterious to him. There are no questions to be asked because he's hearing what everyone's thinking.
And I understand that.
If he can't hear what she's thinking, then he's drawn in because he's like, you're the only person I can't hear.
Yes.
So I want to know what's going on in your head. And I think that is like a new experience for him. Also, in his own words, she smells and is to him like his own personal brand of heroin.
His heroine, yes.
So
no, but wasn't that when he was drinking her blood at the end?
No.
Oh. Their conversations, nothing ever happened. It was sort of just like,
Lots of
I'm awkward. Everyone else is different, not like us. Like,
that is the hot. So I've read the book as well, and I'm on my second reread because I've not read the book in 15 years, and I thought, hey, it would be funny to read as an adult.
Yeah.
And I read it on holiday, and my God, it's so dull. I don't know how I enjoyed that as a teenager. I must have had the best attention span ever.
Because you're like,
what I'm telling you right now. I'm like 50 to 60% of the way through, and I'm struggling. I'm real struggling.
That's how I felt with the film. There were delightful, ridiculous, campy moments, but my God, there were just bits where I was just like, for goodness sake, something happen. But it's also the issue when Mormons write romance, because nothing is allowed to happen. Like, nothing. If you're looking for any kind of titillation, the highest level they get is a kiss, and then he has to spring off against the wall to be like, I don't know, I'm going to lose control or something, which I'm not. That's fine, but if the plot is going to be romance, some romance should take place. Yeah. But instead, it doesn't.
It's a YA novel. It's a young adult
yes,
novel.
But
So
I'm not
it's
saying, but
supposed
like,
to not be like really.
I'm not saying it needs to be spicy.
No,
I'm just saying
it's never going to be spicy. But no, it is incredibly Christian to a very annoying degree. I will say.
And that's the thing is, some of the criticisms I have just come back to this is a bad book. It should not, like, some of the things I want to say, and I will say, are definitely more based in the book sucks rather than the film did something specifically wrong with the source material.
We need to discuss that the only character trait and choice Stephenie Meyer ever made for Bella was that she falls over all the time.
Yes.
And we were saying she must fall over like 4 or 5 times in the film. It's not normal.
Well, this is what I was saying, was I thought, okay, it's just a case of like, I'm a scatty girl archetype,
a silly goose.
Right?
Yeah.
But then, at one point, she's walking with Edward through I don't know what it is, like a botanical area. There are some plants and things in like a school trip. And she just sort of collapses. Like, she doesn't fall over something. Like, another fall that she has is supposedly on ice. Like, there are a couple of circumstances where, like, I could understand it and maybe it's funny. But this time she just hits the floor. And I was like, there is something medically wrong. Like, as a person who is as young as she is, there should not be something so wrong with her. I'm like, she's got, like, I don't know, like atrophied muscles. She's got like dystonia or something. She's not. I would say she's got POTS.
yeah.
She's got low blood pressure. I don't know what is going on, but she is
She
absolutely.
needs to go to the doctor.
Yes.
Carlisle needs to diagnose.
Carlisle should be able to tell what is going on here. Like, we must be careful about what we're normalizing. Does she have like a serious inner ear condition?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, equilibrium.
Yeah, something's off.
I'm like, it gets to the point where it goes from like, oh, she's so funny and relatable, because that's the whole film. She's supposed to be like kind of like witty and relatable, a little bit of like
witty.
Dark sense of humor. Well, I don't know. I'm really trying to give them something.
They've got nothing for Bella.
No,
all she does is go like.
She's supposed to be relatable and a bit sarcastic, right? But it gets to a point where I'm like, no, what's wrong with you? Like, there's something actually wrong with you.
Yes.
This is not how people are.
No. There is something. Or is she having like micro seizures or something? There are so many times where she's just like making faces and looking at nothing. And I'm like, is there a problem, babe? What is up?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, take me to the next bit of plot.
When Bella is nearly struck by a van in the school parking lot, Edward instantaneously covers a distance of over 30 feet. God, someone's done some maths.
Someone's done the maths.
Okay.
How many?
To put himself between her and the van, stopping it with only his hand. He refuses to explain his actions to her, warning her against befriending him. Jacob tells Bella about a long-standing animosity between the Cullens and the Quileutes. That's what I'm going to go with. Somebody tell me if I'm doing it wrong. The Cullens are not allowed on the reservation. When Edward saves Bella again, this time from a gang, after research, she concludes that he is a vampire. He eventually confirms this, explaining that he found her scent irresistible back in biology class, and that the Cullens only consume animal blood.
Okay, this was the best bit of the film by far, in my opinion. Bella actually got something to do. It wasn't much, but she said,
I'm a Google that.
Something is up with you. And she said, I'm going to Google that. And she Googled cold one, and she found the website, and she found an address, and she went to a bookshop. And I was like, yes. And she was tenacious about it. Edward was all like, don't look into me. And she was like, I'm gonna. I've got Google and no one can stop me.
There's a really good bit, and I must say good generously, when they're in the canteen and Bella and Edward are having a conversation about like what it is that he is and what makes him different. She's like, I've considered spiders and kryptonite. And he's like, oh, that's all superhero stuff, right? And he goes, well, what if I'm not one of the superheroes? What if I'm one of the bad guys? And when I tell you, as a teenager, everybody was like dropping to their knees over that.
Really?
Like, why?
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 Oh my God.
This man is canonically like made of marble.
Okay, so it begins with the car crash. So, like, one of the only non-white members of the school is driving his car at like 50 miles an hour in the car park during the winter.
Reckless.
And he hit, and like the car park is not large.
No.
Like this is like the little strip outside the school. And he hits, I guess, a piece of like a patch of ice or something. He starts veering off. He's like screaming. He doesn't know how to stop. He's in a panic. And Bella is about to get flattened. Like pancaked. It's not a near miss situation. She is about to die, capital D. And it's over for her, right? Now, they specifically show you that Edward is on the other side of the car park, like, staring at Bella.
Standing next to my Volvo, which is written in the book. It is a Volvo. They are Volvo appreciators.
Right, that's good to know.
Good to know.
He's looming. All he does at this point is look disgusted and stare.
Yeah.
And it is deeply concerning. I mean, the only other thing they've done is, have they won the Golden Onion by this point?
They have won the Golden Onion by this point.
After the initial biology lesson, where he's literally like, this is my, like, he's like holding his face and trying to leave the class. The next class, he's like, hi, I'm Edward, by the way. And you're like, what am I supposed to take from that? I don't understand. Then they do some biology together.
Between lesson 1 and lesson 2 is the reason his eyes have changed is because he's gone off for a feed, so he's not thirsting.
Do they tell us that?
No.
So like she's like, your eyes were black, but now they're golden and pretty. Yeah. Like genuinely. That's
impression.
Yeah. No, she's like, they were mysterious, but now they're kind of nice. They have one nice class together. They win the Golden Onion. I noticed it. If you haven't seen the film, it's irrelevant. The point being that if you can do biology the fastest, you get a spray painted golden onion, and they get it. So they've had that bonding moment, and because Edward has been acting very strangely, she's been having what she thinks is dreams about him. Update, these are moments where he's just standing in her room in the dark like a demon. I hated that. I honestly found it so diabolical. It's not romantic to stand in a darkened corner and stare. I'd never sleep again. He's just looming. You freak.
What I will say is at no point does this book series teach its audience, young adult women largely, a single good thing.
No, it's criminal.
You nothing good. The first thing that Edward does after he saves her from the van smashing into her, he's like, no, I was standing right next to you. We were having a conversation. How do you not remember? That's so crazy.
You hit your
She's
head.
like, no, that's not what happened. You were across the parking lot. And he goes, well, nobody would ever believe you anyway. That is gaslighting. Gaslighting.
And it's quite threatening.
Bad man. Really threatening.
Yeah, it is. And this is the bit, why I say this is the best bit of the film is literally because she has a bit of tenacity and she gives a singular hoot. He stops this car and like no one really says anything about it. They say like he pushed her out the way, but there's like a handshake print in the car. But like, what are you going to accuse this teenage boy of being able to stop a car with his arm? Like, it's a ridiculous thing to imply.
Yeah.
So I understand why nobody does. We also meet Carlisle for the first time, who is what's his face's dad.
All of their dads.
Everyone's dad, who's Father Cullen. And he has the worst case of vampire makeup I've ever seen in my life. It is thick.
You know he's canonically English.
Okay.
Yeah, he has an American accent.
I'm not seeing it, but you know what? He's travelled around for a long time.
That's why his name is Carlisle.
Yeah.
It's a place in England.
Wow, that's wild. Yeah, it's a horrible name. I really don't like it. Sorry if anyone named their child Carlisle. Live your life. I will say for the kid that nearly runs over Bella, there is probably not a worse person to have nearly run over than the local chief of police's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I'm surprised that he didn't go straight to prison and we never see him again.
Realistically, how long could he have had his driver's license as well?
He did say, you don't have a driver's license anymore. And I was like, oof.
In rural Washington, that is a death sentence.
Yes, he'll freeze to death. That'll be the end of that. You've killed him.
You're not getting to school anymore.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I mean, the vampires might pick him off. You know, he was found weak and cold in the forests.
Honestly.
But yeah, so the car crash didn't feel like it was going to happen. It was like he just suddenly like speeds around the corner and Bella's like, ooh, but
well,
you
I
know.
think that's the whole thing is that the whole Bella falling over all the time or being in peril gives Edward the opportunity to like swoop in and be a hero, which is something he is not often doing. So I think that's where that like bond is formed in that she needs someone to look after her and he's like, oh, it's nice looking after someone rather than just thirsting for their blood and judging them all the time. But like, that is not a relationship. That is just a problem.
Yes, I genuinely felt like they had nothing in common. They never spoke about anything. Like at one point, she knows a song that he knows and he's like, this is love.
His eyes are like, damn, girl.
Well, I
he
mean,
liked that.
That's like the only thing he has to work with. I totally understand that he's intrigued by not being able to read her mind. I can 1,000,000% understand how not hearing every piece of minutiae going on in somebody's head would make you feel much more attracted to them.
Narratively, it makes sense.
Yes, but they give them nothing to bond over other than she thinks he's cool. And he thinks she's mysterious, I suppose. I think they could have been like the cattiest bitches together.
Oh.
Because he's so judgmental and she's so judgmental. And I'm like, they could have had moments where he's like, this guy's thinking this. And she's like, oh my God.
I'm not gonna lie, that's my dream relationship.
Yeah.
To just be sat in the corner like two bitches. Just be like, oh my God, that's so cringe.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate myself for it. It's
Which
not
is
a good
also
personality
how
trait.
the other vampires really react with their other halves. They're all wound around each other, just being like, pss, 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 the entire time. So I'm like, you need more of that with Bella and Edward. Let them have a bond.
The idea is that like their bond is like beyond reason. It's beyond earthly things. It's just like spiritually they're connected, like they're drawn to each other. And it's like it's just that's just not relationships.
That's also having a crush. Feeling drawn to someone is lustfully meeting someone and being like, wow, they seem amazing. That's not like very compelling for a storytelling standpoint. But that's why I liked this bit. There's some friction between them, right? Because Edward's all like, stop asking me questions, and Bella's like, I will not stop Googling at any point.
It does seem to me though, during that sort of period, they go from like having quite intense and interesting conversations to Edward being like, we shouldn't talk, you shouldn't be friends with me, there's no space on our bus for you to sit, like being quite mean to her and then like giving her all the attention. Yeah,
then like the next day he's back and he's like, hey babe.
He's like, what are you doing? And then
he's throwing apples around the place.
Yeah, she's like at the salad bar he's like, oh, what is he like, modern art at like her bowl of salad that she's very particularly placed in certain
I think we're supposed to notice that she really likes salad, but there's only 2 mentions, which is that where she's made this sort of fruit and vegetable construction.
It just makes me think she might be autistic.
Yeah, and then when she goes for dinner with her dad and he's like, I got you the spinach salad, and she gets like 1 leaf and she's like you know, like,
you do see her eat as much as the vampires do.
Is that because she's a lamb?
Maybe.
She likes greenery, and he doesn't eat greenery.
The context of the lion falling in love with the lamb.
That comes up. He says it once. I don't know what it has to do with anything. Then she goes into town with the girls. She gets invited out to prom, but not by Edward, so she's not going.
She says, no, no, no. I dance for no one, especially not you, Mike.
So Mike has to sadly, almost tragically, go to prom with Anna Kendrick. A fate worse than death for a teenage boy, I have no doubt. And he asks her out, and Anna Kendrick is thrilled. And I love that for her. So this is a really cute moment with Bella, where she goes to the town with 2 other girls, Anna Kendrick and another girl, and they go prom dress shopping. And I'm like, this is going to be so cute. And they cut to that scene, and they're trying them on, and Anna Kendrick is like, look, I'm serving boobs. And you're like, good for you. I wish you weren't canonically 16. But whatever. That's fine. And then, in that moment that was going to be so cute, and maybe give us some bonding with Bella, because like, look, she's making friends. And they're like, we really want your opinion on our dresses. She just leaves.
She just sat there and be like, I really want to go to this big store, actually. Like, I don't care about fashion and dresses. She's so like, I'm not that girl, and it's so annoying.
So, and this was actually sad, because for me this was like the beginning of the end of her actually having friends. For the beginning of the film, she's actually interacting with people. Like, all the boys are gagging for her. They are tripping over themselves to get some Bella. And I get it, because she's like a new girl in school, and like obviously also Kristen Stewart and attractive. Not that anyone is particularly ugly in that school, but anyway, they go out, and then she goes off to this bookshop, which is like up a hill in a tree. Like, it's a weird little going to the bookstore montage where she finds a book, which also has nothing to do with anything, because she never reads the book. Like, we never see her. This is the end of Bella's research arc. So she goes and gets this book, and then proceeds.
And the guy at the bookshop looks at her like, what are you doing?
Yeah, because he's like a Native American guy. He's like from the Res, I assume. So because of that, you kind of think, oh, this is going somewhere. She's over Bella not knowing that he's a vampire. And frankly, she's already like put it together pretty much. Like, she knows about the cold ones, which is obviously the people that the werewolves have issue with. And, you know, she's already kind of put a lot of folklore connections together. So she walks down some stairs and runs into the aggiest boys.
Like 4 or 5 like fully grown men who go from like just chilling out, hanging out together, to like within 5 seconds, like fully harassing her.
Yes, like
fully like, hey, how you doing, girl? You should come with us, girl.
Yeah,
I mean, less gay, but you know. I don't know why I did that.
Hey, girl, come get your nails done with us, girl.
Exactly. No. Zooming at, I'm gonna say, 150 miles an hour.
Good for you.
Round the corner, because I can tell that by eye.
Yeah, if they know what 30 foot is, you know 150 miles an hour.
Exactly. Zooming from round the corner, comes Edward in his Volvo, his brand new Volvo, and saves her. He like pulls up in the car, gets out the driver's side, and just goes, "Get in." Gives him a mean look, like,
yeah, he growls or something.
God,
it's
so
all going
weird.
off.
And then gets back in the car, sort of like fucking revs towards them, and then reverses hard. And does, I will say, the sickest handbrake turn
It's a
I've ever
clean
seen.
handbrake turn.
Holy shit. That was a good
He can drive.
handbrake turn. He can drive like a Formula One driver.
As I said, he's been around since cars started. All right, so he's got a lot of driving experience.
He's Charles Leclerc up in this bitch.
Yeah, and he's giving the whole like, Bella, sort of hold me back, don't let me attack them.
Like, can you say something so I don't stop hearing what those guys were thinking? And she's like, hearing what they're thinking? And he's like, well, I could guess.
He does that twice, where he's literally like, so I was reading their mind.
Well,
I mean,
I'm a guy,
feeling
so I can put it
it.
together, you know?
It's like, dude, yeah. And it's also funny because Bella literally can't say anything. Bella's like, put on your seatbelt. Yeah. And what I love about this is there's an implication that for Edward, Bella is this great mystery.
Yeah.
But to us who know what teenage girls are like and the way that she behaves, we're like, she's just an ordinary 17-year-old. Like, I honestly feel like she acts younger than 17. I feel like she acts like 15 because she's literally like, I don't know, you put your seatbelt on then. You know? And I was like, I don't remember being that sassy age 17. Yeah, but like they were like that with each other where she's like, put your seatbelt on. And he's like, you put your seatbelt on. And I'm
she's
like,
quite stroppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like, you know how 14, 15-year-olds are when they're like in the midst of the horrors of puberty and they're just the worst people to know.
Well, I was great, so no.
Oh, God, I could have drowned you.
And you tried to once. That's how I got this scar.
She gets rescued. And I love that because, you know, those guys were creepy. And I would have been happy to see him beat them up. Yeah. I understand why he couldn't because he's too strong. And it would have been dangerous. But it would have been fun to watch him smash one dude.
If he's breaking someone's nose, he's probably going to eat them, isn't he?
I don't know. I mean, not to be rude, but later there's a lot of blood on the agenda, and everyone just manages to handle themselves.
Yeah, it does
for a group of people who are just out of control.
Yeah,
they're all sort of like, no,
no,
I shouldn't. Oh, it'd be nice though, wouldn't it? I won't though. Not another glass. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home. I said I can have an early night.
I promised myself I wouldn't do this again.
So,
yeah.
At this point, is this when they have the vampire conversation? You are the expert. I've only seen it once.
You know what?
And it all sort of blends into one blue-grey mess. I think she goes home. And then the next day, they meet at school.
Yeah, so they sort of like both pull up to school.
Yeah.
And he just starts walking up the hill. And I always found this really weird because she just starts following him. He doesn't say like, oh, should we go for a walk? Also, like, what is this school doing? Not calling home and being like, your kid never
Your child's missing.
But her car's outside.
Yeah.
Like, if that's how, like, lax the school is, I'd be running up into the woods every day.
Yeah, you would have been.
Yeah.
Absolutely feral. There'd have been rumours that there were, like, werewolves in the forest, and it would have been you howling.
I'd have been like 14 screaming MCR lyrics, smoking my way through a pack of cigarettes.
It's true. Little has changed, except for the cigarettes. Shout out.
Yeah, don't smoke, kids. It's not good.
It's not good for you. They sort of look at each other and just know. And they walk up the hill into a sort of wet bit of forest. And
she just starts talking.
She's like,
you're impossibly fast and strong.
You're cold. Really freaking cold. Your eyes did that thing that I thought was kind of sexy that time when I smelled bad. A dramatic reading by Sophie Bello.
Would you like to be Edward in this
I'll be Edward.
You've only got a couple of words, so it's not too hard.
Mm-hmm.
You're impossibly fast and strong. Your skin is pale white and ice cold. Your eyes change colour, and sometimes you speak like you're from a different time. You never eat or drink anything. You don't go out in sunlight. How old are you?
17.
How long have you been 17?
A while.
I know what you are.
Say it. Out loud. Say it.
Vampire.
Imagine if she got it wrong, though. Imagine if she was like...
Honestly, that's what I said. I was like, anemic! You're anemic! We're taking you to the doctor!
Yeah, Carlisle really needs to get you guys some more
You
iron.
live with a doctor! He's really not doing a very good job.
So that takes place. And good for Bella for working it out. I liked that. Good for you.
He then is like, great, you've worked it out. I'm going to show you everything I can do all at once.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you need to see me. And just grabs her, chucks her on at his back, and zooms up this hill.
He can't stop throwing her on his back like a baby sloth or something.
She gets chucked around in this film like a rag
Mate,
doll.
he's lucky. You know what? We can diagnose her with not having Ehlers-Danlos. Because I was trying to discuss what was wrong with her, and it can't be that, because Ehlers-Danlos is a connective tissue disorder, and her shoulders would be ruined by all this throwing.
She would, in one fell swoop, have like internal decapitation. The amount of whiplash this man is putting her under.
It's rough.
Like, awful. The G-forces. She must, like, every time she gets on his back, be like, give me a minute, I'm really
I was
sick.
going to say, the nausea, the head injury from the whiplash, because he's jumping from tree to tree like a friggin' sugar glider or something.
It's like a daily experience of the Hulk ride from Universal.
Literally.
Rest in peace, by the way.
No, they killed the Hulk ride?
It's gone.
That's absolutely heartbreaking.
So
but
good.
it took off with great G-forces. And so I'm genuinely concerned for her health. Like, her head must be... Her brain must be getting battered around in her skull.
Which makes so much sense, because from this point on, she doesn't make a single logical
She's
decision.
nearly non-verbal as well. She's just going...
They zoom up the mountain.
Yep.
And he's like, you need to see me in sunlight. Mm-hmm. Which you're like, oh, what could this possibly be?
I thought this was going to be badass, to be honest.
And he goes up to the clearing, climbs up on a rock, starts unbuttoning his shirt, and is like, this is what I look like. And he is glistening like Liberace's favourite disco ball.
Yeah, it's weird. I understand the struggle of making a person look like a person and also look sparkly.
It looks like a glitch.
It doesn't look good. The effect looks bad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the whole everything about me is designed to draw you in, which is what he says.
I kind of follows with the idea of vampires.
Yes, he's like, I'm a perfect hunter. Everything about me is designed to draw you in. Okay, except he looks exactly the same as he did when he died. He just has, I don't know, slightly nicer hair, maybe, or his weird gold eyes. I mean, I don't think that they're attractive, but they're not bad. Like, I don't know exactly what about him is so alluring when he's stone cold and doesn't breathe.
We didn't smell how bad he was when he was a human.
Yeah, maybe he really, I don't know. It's a little bit weird, and I don't really buy glittering in sunlight as something that would draw people to you.
Yeah.
If that's the idea. Like, you'd be like, dude, do you have psoriasis? There is something up. Especially when he's stone cold. I don't think that it really pays off. Like, I don't mind it, but it could have been cooler or something else.
I mean, it does seem like he's designed to allure magpies.
Yeah, he's more of like a raven's favourite trinket than he is like attractive to people.
He's
but
built to like distract pilots, you know?
Yeah, yes. Isn't he in that 9/11 movie?
He's in Remember
Maybe that's what happened.
Remember Me.
Canonically, he
hard.
sparkled and blinded some people out the window.
And that's where the famous line of "This is the skin of a killer, Bella."
Yeah, and he looks like he is about to shit himself. I understand he's working with nothing and it's hard, but he's just there grunting, going, "I'm hideous," while glittering like a girl in the 90s out of Bed Bath and Beyond. Like, it's just not convincing. And the like pained look he has, and then like, how is Bella supposed to react to that? It's like, that's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that big a deal. And then he's zipping around going, I could kill you, as though you could ever stop me from killing you, which I said is basically how most men like to act around women anyway. They're like, you don't understand how strong I am. And it's like, I've actually arm wrestled a lot of my male friends. I know exactly how strong you are.
Yeah, like, you've never seen masculinity to this level. And it's like, oh yeah, I can deadlift that weight as well.
Yeah. And then he starts zipping around, dangling off all these bits of tree, being like,
I'm like talking serious with her once he's like hanging out of a tree. Like,
I can't imagine how hard filming this must have been, because it's one conversation but hosted in like 19 different places.
Yeah. She keeps like having to just like find him and chase
So
him
she's
around
like,
this forest.
And he's like on a tree. Like,
Edward, where have you gone? And he's just like,
like,
why?
And it looks so awkward and uncomfortable, and I totally get why this conversation did not feel satisfying to watch, because it probably took 3 days to film and a lot of rigging you and hoisting you up into a tree.
So I suppose this scene is supposed to be like a test for her. So if she can see him in all of his unnatural ways, can she still love him despite all of this? And she's like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, babe.
That's fine.
I don't need to think about it.
Don't worry.
Oh,
We've all got our flaws.
yeah. So she's like, well, I already knew you were a vampire. Now you're just telling me you also sparkle? Don't care.
Honestly. That's
no.
a bit of glitter on top.
Yeah.
And then, so he's like, okay.
And also, what teenage girl is going to turn down an attractive man who's like, I find you so irresistible. To me, you're like a drug. She's like,
that's all I want.
Yes.
I just want to feel desire.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's this wonderful micro scene of them between two moss-covered boulders. And he is like, so the lion fell in love with the lamb. And she just goes, what a stupid lamb. He's like, what a sick masochistic lion. It is nauseating.
It's also really funny because he's trying to do the whole like pinning her up against the boulder thing, but his arms aren't really long enough, so he does like a fingertip against each boulder.
And then she like leans back and he's like, okay, we go this way now.
It was
awkward. It's very awkward.
It was really awkward and really cringe, and it should have been cut out, but I understand that it's iconic, so they were going to keep it in, but it was awful. It was like, I think they would have paid not to be in that scene. They were like, let me be free.
I think
they
Robert Pattinson would pay to not be in that franchise.
Yeah, they were both like, it felt like they were pulling their teeth out.
Yeah.
It looked so awkward, and I felt really bad for them. But now we're at the point where, hooray, she knows he's a vampire. That's the end of the plot. And yet we are halfway through the film. So then now the film needs to come up with more things to do, which is a struggle, because for a while they're just dating.
Yeah. They walk through the school together. They arrive in the same car together, and everyone's like, oh my God, you got Edward Cullen. This scene alone brought romance back.
What's going on?
This brought romance back. But halfway through Dina was trying to say hello.
No, that was Edward when he was smelling her. You got Let's get another bit of plot.
Right. The pair fall in love, and he introduces her to his vampire family. Carlisle Cullen, the patriarch, is a doctor at the Forks Hospital. Esme, his wife, and Jasper, Alice, Emmett, and Rosalie are their informally adopted children. The family's reaction to Bella is mixed, and some of the Cullens are concerned that the family secret could be exposed.
So this bit is kind of the dating era.
Yes.
They are in love, as all teenagers are after 2 weeks. They are in love, and being in love means that you must meet each other's families. So Bella is invited round after being sort of announced at school, and as I said, this was kind of the end of her having friends era, which was sad because I really liked her engaging with people at school.
Yeah.
And so she goes to the Cullens' house once, at which point they have cooked dinner for her, and it's so funny. I love it with all my heart. They make her Italian food because, well, her name is Bella, and that's Italian. Not knowing, I guess, that her name is Isabella, but, I mean, that is Italian as well, I guess. But, like, they kind of go...
very common name.
They kind of go, Bella's an Italian word, we'll make her Italian. And then they're like, we don't even know if she is Italian, as though other people don't eat Italian food. Like, honestly, it's so funny. And then she walks in and literally announces, I've already eaten. And one of the Cullens smashes this salad bowl in like vampiric rage, I guess, because she cut up a lettuce. And I'm like, for one, if I go around to somebody's house and they've cooked me a meal, I'm going to eat some. You don't need to play the... Well, like, it's polite.
She said, yeah, of course I'm hungry. She says, I hope you're hungry. And then Edward goes, she already ate. Shut
Edward!
up! Shut up!
She's trying to make a good impression.
That is the first time I would have hit that man.
Yeah.
No, it was the 17th time I would have hit that man.
Well, I'd have been throwing things at him when he first turned up at the end of my dad.
Literally.
So
he appeared in my bedroom. I would have been like, get out!
Because
Go to danger.
Because Stephenie Meyers hates whimsy, she cuts out the opportunity to have dinner with the vampires. That would have been funny. Instead, we just get everyone standing around awkwardly in their little couples, and they go into their very lovely house, and then Edward goes up to his bedroom, and they look around his bedroom where he has lots of CDs.
But no bed.
No bed.
He never sleeps.
Even though he has like a big chaise lounge. And I'm like, he could easily be sleeping on that. I'm just saying. But he doesn't sleep. And she's like, wow, we are really different in this moment. And he plays some classical music.
Claire de Lune by Debussy, as he says it.
He's French.
Debussy.
Yeah, and she's like, I love Claire de Lune. And he's like, marry me.
He looks at her like,
he's like,
shit.
Someone's heard of classical music.
This my wife.
This is different than the other teens that I'm regularly dating. So he then jumps out of a window with her, to be honest. That's pretty much what happens. They jump out the window and sort of frolic amongst the trees together, which...
Yeah. I mean, it does produce the famous quote of, hold on tight, spider monkey.
It's really embarrassing. I'm not confident she can hold on tight. I really think with Bella's propensity for fitness and exercise, I don't think she should be trusted to hold herself under these circumstances. But thankfully, she does not plummet to her doom. And instead, they sort of sit around in the trees. And I will say it's the most earnestly teenage thing I have seen. Yeah. Them sitting up in the trees, being like, ee hee 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 hee, off on their own together, is so 17. It's so like, we go and sit under a bridge somewhere and like throw things into like the shitty little creek.
Like hand and lock and just stare into each other's eyes.
Yeah. Sophie did that once. And then she threw her phone in the water by accident.
I did, and it was still working at the bottom of the lock. Shout out Sony Ericsson, if you want to give us a sponsorship, I'll take one.
They're having their cute little romance era.
Yeah, we love
which we love, and frankly, if this were maybe a better romance, it could have just stayed about that and about.
He hadn't started off so toxic.
The trials and tribulations. Well, if it were better overall, but like it could have started toxic and worked its way into a healthier place. But unfortunately, this is the point where Stephenie, I think, went, oh shit, we need some other plot.
Edward and Bella's relationship is jeopardized when 3 nomadic vampires, James, Victoria and Laurent, arrive, responsible for a series of deaths being investigated as animal attacks.
So this is where the third act plot begins, which is that there have been a couple of murders in Forks, which Bella's dad is investigating, but like is barely really mentioned. Like one of Bella's dad's good friends is straight up murdered. And she's like, that sucks for you, Dad, and then goes out with Edward.
Yeah.
So
it's real B plot.
Yeah, it's deeply B plot. And the vampires are sort of trying to put the humans off their scent by putting a weird footprint somewhere. Like that's basically it. It's like very strange.
They're running out of town and the police are chasing their scent. It's very odd.
And so the police are like, wow, it looks like they're leaving town. I guess they're gone for good. Phew. Anyway, at this point, the Cullens invite Bella for a game of baseball, the great American pastime. And they have to do it during a thunderstorm because the amount that they hit the ball is so loud and resonant. The only way they can cover it is with thunderclaps because they are gods. So... So they're playing this insane, very camp game of baseball.
And to Muse, Supermassive Black Hole.
Yes,
great song.
Of course. There's Leg Vampire, who is serving ball and serving leg. Alice.
Yeah.
Everyone in this is insane.
Yeah, none of it makes
And she does
sense.
the leg every single time. Yes. Alice with her little tiny hair and her big long leg. She throw the ball. Everyone else is whacking and running, and Bella is playing umpire because obviously she can't possibly actually play the game. She would be steamrolled to death. Yeah. I'm not confident that she could even see what these people are doing at super fast vampire speed. Like, I think she's just standing there, her hair's being blown around, and she's like, you're out or not. I don't know. Surely it would just be streaks. Because obviously they're hitting the ball insanely hard. And this is where we find out that Edward is a fast vampire.
He's fastest
fast
of the family.
Run vampire. We can't get into the physics of it too much, but he runs to get the ball, right, that has been hit, while the other vampire is running round the baseball diamond. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if they've set the diamond up to be like 9,000 times bigger than it should be, because the distance the ball goes, doesn't matter how fast Edward is, the vampire would still be able to run around the diamond faster than that.
I'm going to stop you right there, my darling. Yeah. Let's not debate the logistics
it's just so
of how any of this works.
Vampire baseball doesn't work. But
vampire baseball does not work.
They're playing.
But we do like it for the theatrical
It was
reasons.
so much fun. And I wish we got more. As with Vampire Dinner, I want to see Vampire Spaghetti Time. I want to see more Vampire Baseball.
I want to see a group of vampires sit around a table and watch a singular human eat.
That would be so funny.
So hilarious.
At this point, 3 new vampires show up. They're the ones that we saw earlier eating this guy who we apparently knew from the diner. Point being, they show up and you think, oh, they're bad vampires. But they're like, no, let's just play some baseball together. So they're all about to have a great vampiric baseball battle. And instead, one of these idiots smells Bella.
The wind blows and her hair wafts her scent over to the guy that is a tracker.
She is the ultimate, like, Herbal Essences advert. There is something going on with the oils on her head that just gets the vampires feral. So this guy goes, actually, JK, I'm going to eat her. And the Cullens are like, no, we're family. That's not going to happen. So the 3 vampires do not play baseball, which is really sad. And instead, they all have to start going on the run from this vampire who is a tracker. Now, we've never heard of another kind of vampire. No one else has said, I'm a blank vampire. Like,
at this point, we only know that there is this kind of vampire and it is a tracker. God knows whatever. Like, we don't even know what everyone else's abilities are at this point.
No, we know that Alice does see the future. And Edward reads minds.
And he's quite fast.
And the other woman breaks salad bowls.
And I think Emmett is supposed to be super strong, which is suggested by the eggs and him constantly landing on the top of cars.
What's the eggs got to do with it?
Because he's strong. Protein.
He's gonna get it. Oh, he's like Muscle vampire.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. This now starts third act plot. And this man, this tracker vampire, who has the worst wig in the film, which is interesting because the wigs are horrifying.
Really bad the whole way through.
He
Esme
is now
given a full helmet.
Oh my god. They put Esme in a wig. So she's got
like
a wig over her hair with a baseball cap.
She looks like she's hiding a goose egg under her hat. I can't say that. I'm laughing.
It nearly killed
looks
me.
Like she's hiding a goose egg under her
It's
hat.
so bad. It's
really
outrageously bad. And in this world of strange wigs, I do see why Edward and Bella are drawn to each other. Because I think Bella is wearing a wig, but it's definitely the best one.
First film, she isn't.
That's why she looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited for the wigs that start appearing in
I think it's season,
film 2.
Not season. Film 3, she starts wearing a wig.
Will you wear wigs? Okay.
When will you wear wigs?
Okay. At this point, this is where stakes get high, things start happening. Bella is being tracked by blonde vampire man, so she has to lie to her dad, make him sad. We get a little bit of dad B plot, which is that the mum hated living in Forks so much, she took Bella and left Forks and said, I can't stay here, I hate it.
Yeah.
And so Bella basically says the same thing to her dad. We didn't know about any of this. We didn't know why they broke up, if they were ever together. For all we know, Bella could have been a one-night stand.
Yeah.
But no, we get Forks sucks so hard, the family broke down and he did not come. He was like, I cannot leave the rainy area and the small house I own in Forks. My child is gone. So anyway, every now and again as well, Bella calls her mum and her mum's just watching a man also playing baseball. I guess Stephanie Myers is a big baseball fan.
She must be.
Because there's a surprising amount of baseball in
She
Twilight.
must be.
Because her new boy BF
She's
is...
watching the MLB 24/7.
Yeah, it's just on in the background while she was writing. So, Bella needs to go on the run. She doesn't want her dad to get murdered by this tracker vampire.
And that means that her and Edward have to split up. And they have a very dramatic parting of ways in the Cullen garage.
Yes, the Cullen family garage.
And he's like, I'm going to make you safe again. And then we're going to go somewhere. And so she speeds off with Emma and Alice to go all the way down to Arizona. And the rest of them sort of grab bits of her clothes and rub them on the trees to be like, she's here in the forest somewhere. I'm confused. It makes no sense.
So they're trying to throw this guy off the scent. This all becomes a bit nonsensical. It's just a bunch of people in bad wigs running around in the forest. And they're all blonde. So you're just like, oh, who's related to what? One of the three vampires, the one who isn't white, Laurent turns around and is like, I'm not with that guy, he's a prick. Which is nice.
Fair.
Love that for him, but he doesn't really do anything. You think maybe he'll join their team, but he just sort of goes...
He's just like, he's crazy. He'll track her until it's done. Like, he'll never give up the fight. And then everyone's like, great, can you fuck off now because we need to go, like...
we gotta go, we need to lock up Mount Cullen. I guess they drove for a really long time, and... it's not very well explained how that happens, but we see a cactus, so we know they're back.
Yes.
And then Alice has a moment, and she's like, I can see the future. And she does a bit of the Omen, the others.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does a bit of the others drawing on a piece of paper.
Sort of like...
and she draws.
She draws with like a charcoal.
Yeah, she's got her charcoal. It's nice.
James, a tracker vampire, is excited by Bella's scent and becomes obsessed with hunting her for sport. The Cullens protect Bella, but James tracks her to Phoenix, where she is hiding with Jasper and Alice, and lures her into a trap at her old ballet studio. When they say lures her into a trap, what they are talking about is a very tenuous bit of plot.
Yeah, so she's in Phoenix for reasons of getting away, but obviously this guy's a vampire, so he can move as fast as they can. So he gets there. He has tracked her. For a while, they think that he's off the scent, and then Alice is like, no, he's on the scent. And then Edward also realizes it at the same time somehow. Great. I think he reads his mind and is like, oh no, he's coming for you. So he runs down towards Arizona, and he calls up Bella and is like, I went to the school and I got your school records, and now I know your phone number. Hello. Come and meet me at this ballet classroom where you used to do ballet, and if you don't, I'll kill your mum. And her mum's like, Bella! Down the phone, right? And you're like, oh dear. Well, that sucks.
Quite bad. I thought her mum wasn't even in Arizona.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be in Florida.
Yeah, what's she doing there? So, at this point, Bella goes, well, my mother's at risk. I guess it's time for me to die. And doesn't tell the vampires. Just...
fucks off.
Just leaves. And the funny thing is, the vampires know where she's going to be, because Alice, just like a second before, sees the ballet studio, sketches it all out, and Bella goes, that's my ballet studio. And they're like, no way, is it?
Maybe School of Dance.
So it doesn't really leave to much question of how they find her. They've got a picture of it and know that it exists. But yeah, she disappears off, and the blonde man is there waiting for her, scary vampire man. And what does he do? He's like, your mum's not really here. I'm just going to tape of her.
I
somehow.
got one of your home videos where she says your name in an exclaiming fashion.
Yeah.
And have replayed that bit down the phone to you.
Which I don't think it sounded like that at all.
Like, if you think about the logistics of, like, right, so he has broken into her home where there is... So they've not sold the home, is the idea that I'm getting here. So there's still all of their stuff in this house. And he's gone through, presumably, the living room and found a tape and gone, that'll probably do.
Yeah.
Or put a couple in.
He sat there.
Done a fast forward, watched some home movies. But, oh, yeah, that one will work.
There you go. Lovely.
Off to the School of Dance. Let he set up a TV and VHS system.
Yes.
And puts it in. Oh my God.
You know what? The most accurate thing is that a school would have a TV and VHS system ready to roll in on the cart. Yeah. So he rolls the cart in, and she goes, oh my goodness, I've been bamboozled.
Hijinks.
And I did quite like this. I didn't see this coming. So he is like, you're pathetic. This is cringe. You were too easy to hunt. I'm going to kill you, but I need you I want to make a tape of you begging for your life and dying, right? And I was like, that's pretty hardcore.
Dark.
That's dark. And so
Bella and Edward can't have a hot smooch.
No. But you know what he does? He's not just filming her being like, beg for your life. He then and honestly, this all takes place in like a minute. He literally steps on her leg and breaks her shin.
Literally.
It is disgusting.
It's really visceral.
Gross. And she's screaming. And then he's like, say, Edward, come and save me. And she's like, no, don't. And I'm like, don't act as though you can even hear what this man is saying.
Yeah.
Your bone just went backwards. You are in such a world of pain. Like, I mean, admittedly, she's used to a few bumps. We've seen her hit the deck several times.
She does fall over a lot.
Yeah.
But as far as we're aware, she's never broken her shin.
It's disgusting.
We're saying that in front of the Substance poster.
Okay, but the Substance is lit, so classic. Silence yourself.
Yeah.
No, the Substance is probably more disgusting, but it's just I wasn't expecting it to get that violent, especially at Bella as the main character, right?
Yeah.
Then, as her leg gets broken, in comes Edward.
Boom!
And Edward takes this man down. They start like fighting, but Edward's like, Edward, I know you're fast, but you're not even strong, so I'm gonna beat you up. And you're like, oh man,
I'm strong enough to kill you.
And you think we're about to get a vampire fight, but then all the rest of the Cullens come in.
There is a very cool shot where they like destroy the entire dance floor, and I was like, damn, that's like 200 grand.
That's expensive. Those dance floors are not a joke. And like Bella is lying on the floor, her head is bleeding from hitting a pole, her leg is inside out,
and by this point James has fatally bitten her arm.
Oh my
and
gosh.
put his venom into Bella.
Yeah.
So she is not only writhing around in pain because her shin has been literally snapped, but she is now also writhing around in pain because her arm is full of vampire venom.
Which is a thing in this.
She is in the process of changing into a vampire from a human.
No, not the cross-eyed.
Everyone's giving it eyeball action.
That's rough.
So Carlisle comes in and is like, her femoral artery has been severed at like in the melee of everything. And her leg is broken. Same leg, by the way. Yeah. So broken shin, femoral artery. That's a bad time for one leg.
She's lucky she kept that leg. I'm going to be real.
The venom is
coursing
seeping into her arm.
Yeah.
By this point, the siblings have gone, don't worry, Edward. We'll sort it out. We'll rip his head off and set a fire.
They literally
in the studio
are behind. Like, so that's what I was saying about having a big vampire fight. I was hoping for more fight because literally the rest of them come in and just immediately like break his neck, just start building an actual bonfire right behind them. Thank God the smoke seems to be under control.
Not many fire alarms at Mimi's.
Right behind them, they just build an absolutely whacking huge fire and just start burning this guy. They're like, no coming back for you, no resurrection for you, or whatever may happen, because they need to take him apart. So they're doing like field surgery in the background.
Can I just say as well, one of my biggest bones that I have to pick with this scene is that during the fight sequence, everything's really snappy. Like everything's quite like there's a sense of urgency. The minute that James is being dismembered and set aflame and they are seeing to Bella's wounds, everyone's like,
that was a lot, wasn't it?
Well, what should we maybe like a little tourniquet around her leg to stop the bleeding? We'll do that. Oh, I've got a belt. Yeah, I'll take that off. Now, what do we do about the venom? I mean, you could just let it happen and then she'll be a vampire, which I suppose will be easier for you, Edward. But, you know, if you don't want that to happen, you're going to have to suck the venom out of her arm. This is all happening whilst this girl is like screaming.
Literally.
For her life on the floor in absolute agony.
She's like, it burns!
And he's just sitting there like watching her like, oh, my heart is hurting to watch my love in pain, but doing nothing about it.
Yeah, he does not know what to do.
He's like, you will have the strength to stop sucking her blood.
Couldn't they just yank him off?
Once the venom is out. What do you mean?
Couldn't they just yank him off? Like, remove him from her. Like the other vampires. Right. There are 6 other vampires in that room.
Oh,
could they not just pry him off? Because when he decides, spoiler alert, he does suck out the venom. When he decides to suck out the venom, at one point Carlisle's like, her blood's clean, you can stop now. And then it like gradually fades to black, so we don't know what he's done.
Yeah.
But like Carlisle could have just grabbed him by his hair and been like, detach.
Yeah.
Sonny Jim. Maybe he'd go double ferile. I don't know. It just seems weird that like...
It's his will exclusively.
Yes.
That is what gets him to stop sucking her blood.
Yes.
But there is a bit where, so he's like, I'm making it all go away, Bella. I'm gonna make the pain go away. While she's screaming, I'd literally be like, can you hurry up?
Can you just do it? Stop talking.
And like the whole thing is like time is of the essence because the venom is coursing through her veins. So he starts like maniacally sucking on her wrist.
Yeah.
Look, if you're going to watch any scene of this film, you've got to watch that because it is some of the finest and worst acting I've ever seen in my life. There is a artistic choice that Robert Pattinson made with this character when he is in times of deep stress where he'll squint but with one eye. And he does this kind of like... It's almost pirate-esque. He'll be like, I'd like the pain go away, Bella. It's so hilarious. And he does this the entire time. He's like sucking on a little twiglet of an arm.
He's chewing the scenery as much as he's chewing that arm. I'm going to tell you that.
Honestly, it's a performance Bette Davis would have been proud of. It was that subtle. And then, fade to black. Yeah. And you're like, oh no, is she dead? And then it comes up and she's in hospital with a little oxygen thing up her nose.
Little cannula or whatever's going on up her nose. And she's like, Mom. And her mum's, honestly, it's the first full face shot we've got of this poor woman. And they have fisheyed this lens to the nth degree. I will say the cinematography in this film is insane. The amount of like, there's like slow motion dolly shots. There's all these like flying through the tree shots. I was like, this film is giving me motion sickness. And if I were that woman and this is my first big full-on face shot and they make me look like you're staring at me through the hole in a door, I'd be furious. But the mom's like, Edward's over there. And Edward is now acting.
He's pretending to be asleep. He's like, just
just like beep, 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 beep. In the corner. So you know what, that's funny because she doesn't even say anything, but she's obviously like, I know he's faking it. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the mum has, in my opinion, the finest line in the film where she's like, oh my god, Bella. And Bella's like, what happened? Because obviously she's being kind of smart. She can't be like, what happened to the vampire that we burned to death? And after you came back to Phoenix, because she told her family, I'm going back to Phoenix, don't ask me why, and she leaves. So they're like, after you got back to Phoenix, you fell down the stairs, 2 flights of stairs, you broke your leg, and you fell through a window. So what they said was she fell down 2 flights of stairs, crashed through the window at the top of the ballet studio, and proceeds to fall into the ballet studio, assumedly destroying the place, right?
I don't think the ballet studio is involved. I think it's supposed to be in a hotel.
So you think it's just a random window?
Yes.
So not the window that got broken in, because they cut to that window, so I thought it was the same one. Okay, I'll accept that. So she rolls down 2 flights of stairs and through a window, and apparently that also explains the huge human bite on her arm.
Honestly.
Like, I don't know. She is covered in blood, she is sliced up, and her mum's like, you're so clumsy. You silly bitch. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but breaking your shin is so unusual.
Yeah.
The idea that she could have fallen down the stairs and broken only the strongest bone in her body is insane. Like, it's so bizarre.
In the process of rolling down all of these stairs, you've had a little nosh on your
Yes, I was like, oh, Belly,
Oh my
silly goose, you bit your arm to the bone. So,
I feel like I need a minute. That's so funny.
I love that though. So often in films, insane things happen to people and they wake up in hospital and nobody goes, did you know that your leg got vaporized by like a laser beam from an alien? You know, like I like the fact that the Cullens were like, how do we cover this?
Yeah.
Yep. She fell down the stairs. You know what she's like. And then they found her. Anyway, she's then like, I'm going back to Forks. Her mum's like, you're going to love Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And she's like, stop right there,
I'm
mother.
staying in Forks. Fuck you.
Yeah, Forks is where it is for
Yeah.
me. Great. Love that. And then it cuts to them being back at home. And guess what day it is?
It's the prom.
It's prom.
And she is going.
Bella survives a vampire attack, goes to prom. These are the changes we needed.
Can I just say, so she's only in like a boot.
Yeah.
I've been in a boot because I once almost broke my foot. What is a boot doing for a full shin break?
I cannot tell you,
Her
Sophie.
leg must have been in a good 3 or 4 pieces.
Yeah.
That's not a clean like,
Where's-
snap in the middle.
I would accept an external fixator. I'm
Yeah.
telling you that. You show me
Yeah.
those pins going in and out of that leg, holding it in position.
Exactly.
The boot.
The boot
doing
was not
nothing.
sufficient enough for what is essentially the shattering of a complete lower limb.
Yes.
Like, she's lucky she didn't have to have it amputated.
Honestly, she is.
Genuinely.
When they were like the femoral arteries screwed and the entire leg is smashed to doubloons,
Genuinely.
I was like, wow, that's over. Legs
gone.
off. But no! Apparently Bella
Literally.
keeps her leg and it looks good.
Yeah.
So anyway, they go to prom. She has a little dress. Edward
very
Cullen
cute.
turns up. They go to prom together. She's like, you're trying to kill me. Stop making me go to prom.
I can't dance. Oh.
Well, you can't now, not with that leg.
No. They start dancing to some really nice slow music and having a really like intimate moment. But because she can't dance, he like picks her up and puts her feet on his. And I was like, you do that with children.
Yeah. With
That's
the big
kind of
boot.
weird.
Also, like, how bad can you not dance to just move your weight from one foot to the other?
Yeah.
It's very strange. And so, like, they get their little romantic time on the pagoda.
Yeah.
Sadly, I was hoping that this would be another Robert Pattinson song opportunity because he has a song in this and it is unintelligible.
Completely unintelligible.
But it's while he's sucking out the vampire venom and it's just him going like, let me hold ya. And
It's like you play Anastasia backwards.
yes, it would call a demon. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I was hoping we were going to get another Robert Pattinson special, but we didn't. But they have a cute little dance, and she's like, just make me a vampire, you goose. And he's like, no, that's wrong. Why can't we just live together until you die?
Is it not enough just having a long and happy life with me? And she goes, for now. Honestly.
So
I'm just saying as well, this school is very lax with regards to its attendance records and informing parents that their children haven't come to school.
yes.
And it's also very lax with like generally observing what the kids are doing at prom. Because at one point he's like looks like he's gonna go and bite her neck and change her, and you're like, oh my god, is it gonna happen? And then he just very tenderly kisses her neck.
Yeah, but he's
And I'm
bent
just
her
saying-
in half, and he's like up her neck. And I was like,
it's a bit much.
leave room for God.
That's exactly what I was about to say. There is not a single adult in this space that's like, excuse me, no PDA at
Yeah.
prom, because I will say our proms were very liberal, but there was no like actual making out and smooching and kissing.
Mate, they were up in each other's business.
Enough space for Jesus, please.
No, this is too much. And if you saw real like 16, 17-year-olds doing that, you'd be like, that's
That's
disgusting.
absolutely foul.
You're under arrest.
Yeah.
That's really the end of Twilight.
That is the end of Twilight.
And you know what? It was not what I was expecting.
Give me a high point, a low point, and a rating out of 5.
Oh
please.
my God. High point, probably baseball. That was really fun. I wanted more vampire shenanigans.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the beginning of the film. I will say, her going to school and meeting all the characters, I loved that. I wanted more school stuff. Because I thought everyone was great. I really like Anna Kendrick. I really like Side Fringe. They were cool. Low point, everything about the tracker vampire and those little gang, I don't care. You guys are boring. You aren't enough peril to be scary. You aren't in it enough to like add tension. You just sort of show up and are annoying. Didn't love that.
Yeah.
And rating. Realistically, I think if you could give this film a harder cut, if we could cut out like maybe half an hour.
Disagree. Add on half an hour.
No, but like that's fair. I just felt like why I didn't enjoy it was it went on too long. Like I enjoy some dross sometimes. I watched Glee. Not all of it, but some. If you keep the intensity high enough, I won't notice or care how stupid it is. But with Twilight, it kept slowing down and I needed it to
speed the fuck up. Yeah.
Go. Don't let me think about this. The more I think, the less I enjoy it. Go. So realistically, I would say, given that I gave Emilia Perez a 1, if I tell you the truth, you're going to club me to death.
No, I'm not. Look, I love this film.
Yeah.
Not in the way it's supposed to be loved. It's a terrible film.
Yes.
But it's so sincere and everything it does horrifically. It's a comedy to me. It's so funny.
It's a 2.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair.
It's a 2. It could be a 1.5, but I think it's a 2.
The thing that I appreciate about Twilight is it makes choices that I laugh at rather than am exasperated at.
Yes.
Which was the issue with Emilia Perez, if you've watched that episode yet. I'm angry by the end of that film. I was fully in a rage by the end of that film.
Yeah, and they also were all adults. Yeah. So that made it even stupider. Like, they were like well-educated
teenagers. Makes sense.
Exactly. They were well-educated adults, whereas these are teenagers and vampires stuck in time.
Well, yeah, vampires stuck in time. It was like 104. Creeper.
It's so creepy.
Icky.
It's creepy if he was 17, let alone if he's 17 plus 100.
Honestly.
If you've never seen it, it's probably not worth a watch. If your girlfriend or partner makes you watch it, just know there are high points and just try and grit your teeth through the low points. Like, try and enjoy the ridiculousness, and every time you're just watching Charlie eat a steak, just be like, something will happen eventually. You know, every time that they're like arguing about cobbler, I don't care how much cobbler your dad eats.
Talking about cobbler constantly.
Well, I gotta go to the diner. It's like, I don't care.
The Twilight cobbler cut would be a good couple of minutes.
So yeah, would you like to give your high point, low point, midpoint, or is it all high for you?
The high point for me is this film exists.
Yeah.
The low point for me is probably the second film or the third film.
No, don't say it.
No, but in comparison
okay.
to what a magical...
That was magical.
Masterpiece.
Oh, no.
The whole saga is.
Okay,
it's a saga.
Okay.
But I genuinely love that film. Okay. I think it's the only film that genuinely gets me out of depression because it's so ridiculous.
Oh my God.
I can't help but laugh.
We need more.
It's a tonic to me.
Okay.
Rating out of 5, well, like, logically it's a 2, but in my heart it's like a 4.
Okay.
Which is a shame.
That's fine. It's an illogical 4.
It's an illogical 4. Because honestly, for me, Conclave is like a 4.5. So, like, what are we doing here? No,
it's a 2.
If it was a comical film, it would be up there for me.
Yeah.
If it was a film that they played straight but was supposed to be a comedy.
If you said, Emily, would you rather watch Pitch Perfect or Twilight?
Twilight.
I would pick Twilight every time.
Because
I would rather watch a film that's earnestly trying than one that I just am annoyed by.
Yeah.
That being said, sorry for taking shots at Pitch Perfect. They did nothing wrong. It's just not for me. I think the other low point should be Robert Pattinson's song.
And also the fact that Edward is like a manipulative.
He's such a freak.
Twat.
I actually thought that this was going to be one of those situations where I went into it and everyone said, oh, you know, this story has really bad messaging. It's creepy. And I was going to be like, you know, sometimes you'll see a film and people will highlight how creepy some things are. And you're like, you know what, you're right, but I still liked it. Like, I liked the toxic bits of the romance.
Yeah.
I will say no. I was scared of Edward for most of it. I did not want... And I wish... Because they have some chemistry, but I wish they had more interaction. Just talk to each other a couple of times. But
and less montages of them talking to each other. And actually, like, have some scenes where they are...
Bond!
Like the meeting of the minds over something.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
We never even talked about the kissing, kicking each other out of bed scene.
No.
Oh my God, they kiss.
go watch
They
it.
kick each other out of bed. It's awkward.
It's a whole thing.
And then they just sit around and chat all night. And
Again,
I want to
another
know what
montage.
they're saying. Tell me what
Yeah.
you talked about. Anyway, that was really annoying. But
Yeah.
Twilight was an experience, and now I can finally say I've watched it.
If
I
you want
can't
us to
believe
do-
I've finally seen it.
I know. It's
Mm-hmm.
only taken you 15 years. If you want us to do the other ones, let us know. Because
Yes.
I can force Emily to do that potentially at some point.
Well, this whole podcast is about watching terrible films.
And
So if
they
you
are all
have
bad.
a terrible film that you would recommend, let me know. And if you think I should watch more Twilight, let me know. It has been such a pleasure recording this and hanging out with you guys today. Do subscribe, follow whatever platform you're currently watching on, because we are everywhere that podcasts are. And we are in video on YouTube if you want to see us. And if you are on YouTube, you know that, unless you've got your eyes closed, which would be unusual.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for enjoying this masterpiece with us.
Woohoo!
And have a blessed day.
Yes, toodle pip.
Kisses.
Bye.
Mwah.